Hey everybody, it's Old School Nerd. It is Saturday, and well, we need to get through a bunch of requests that were done by all of you during the live stream. So I was making crawfish. You guys were asking for videos, so like a team. All right, everyone. Couple things to let you guys know about coming up really soon. Tomorrow's live stream. It is Easter Sunday, so it will be fairly short. But of course, we will be taking all of our requests for the week if you want to do that. But the best part about tomorrow, I want to play video games with all of you. So all you're going to need is the stream, preferably on a computer or an iPad and your smartphone. That's all you need. But you need both. And also, you got to play by the rules. But we're playing games together tomorrow. So anyway, well, let's get to it. This request today comes from Ginzu, and he always does the great stuff. Ginzu does great stuff. You know, I can always count on Socrates. I know it's Socrates, but it doesn't matter. Socrates will do some crazy shit. You know, Gudmundur from Iceland, the dungeon master, he does some off the wall stuff. Ginzu always does stuff that makes me go, damn. All right. That's how it works. So his request is, hey, old school nerd, old school drum nerd. Oh, okay. Dan Presland from Obliviscaris, as Icicles Fall drum playthrough. Whew. As Icicles Fall. I've never heard that song, but I do know who Obliviscaris is. We did check them out. Made fun of him a little bit, but one thing that I did notice about the band was that the drummer was ridiculously talented. His name is apparently Dan Presland. All right. All right, Ginzu. Sounds like a plan. We could do that together. My name is Old School Nerd. Thank you for coming in. Whoops. I dropped my smartphone. Like and subscribe to the channel. Check us out on oldschoolnerd.com. It's got all of our social media posts. It's got our Patreon link for those who want to help support the channel, and we do appreciate that. It keeps us here. And, of course, the merchandise store. All right. Here we go. Dan Presland. Let's see what you got, brother. Obliviscaris. Okay. Pearl, Zildjian, Remo, Axis Percussion, and Vic Firth sticks. Huh. Okay. So we know who makes his drum kit. We know who makes his cymbals. We know who makes his drum heads. We know who makes his the racking and pedal hardware, like pedals and mechanical stuff, and of course drumsticks. Alrighty then. Wow, he's tearing them up, isn't he? Whoa. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about the drum set. Yeah. So this is an interesting drum set. The reason why I think it's really interesting is, of course, okay, let's count them up. Hi-hat set here. There's another hi-hat set tucked here. I couldn't get a good look at this one. This, of course, is an inverted splash. Here's a crash. Here's another crash. This one is a high-end lip-up Zildjian. That's a crazy one. Here's the thing. Ride. He's got two rides. That's cool, which means he can ride it on left or right, which makes sense considering he has two hi-hats. Now, where's the Zilbel? It's right here. He's got a small splash here. There's another splash here. Well, he has his Zilbel mounted just above his other splash. So, of course, for those who don't know what a Zilbel is it's like the top. It's very thick metal, very thick brass. It sits on top of a ride. Okay, if we go look at the ride cymbal, see the ride cymbal here? The farther out you play, the more resonance you're going to get. The higher up you play on a ride cymbal, the more that clang, 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 that clanging noise you hear on a ride cymbal. However, this part here, this smooth part, is called the Zil or the Zenith. And it actually sits, it's actually a thicker metal. It holds the cymbal together, gives it its balance. It also, when you hit that, it's literally like just a clanging sound. Because so many people enjoy hitting the ride up here in the bell itself, and the reason why we call it a Zilbel is because Zildjian makes it. This right here, they want to be able to hit that but without having to hold up the space of an entire ride cymbal. So Zildjian made a Zilbel, and it's just a Zilbel. And the reason why I mention it is because I love them. I always look for one on the set. I made fun of Dario from Torrential Rain because he didn't have one. I said, dude, you need a Zilbel. He's like, okay. So yeah, he's got four toms. Which is really interesting because he has a lot of times you'll see toms where you'll have, this is your standard high mid, okay, high mid, and you'll have your floor tom. A lot of drummers will have high mid, floor, low floor. Okay, they'll have two floor toms for more of that lower end tom work. He has an ultra high instead. So he has four toms, but instead of doing high, mid, floor, low floor, he's got ultra high, high, mid, and floor. Interesting setup. He, instead of using a double pedal, he has double kicks. Interesting setup. Cool like that. Gives a little bit more of a that heavy metal feel when you have that double kick drum look. Some drummers have four. Don't know why. That's more of an 80s arena stadium rock thing where they're just trying to be bigger than life, aka Tommy Lee with drumstick flips. All right, so we've wasted enough time. We've talked about this kit. Move on. Really good groove, really good stick work. He does play tight in. He does pull his left shoulder back when he's playing the hi-hat, when he's doing double taps because it's so close in on him. It's better when a drummer doesn't have to reach. It has to be with the minimal amount of effort. That's how a lot of drummers can either pick up speed, precision, and also not as much wear and tear on the joints of the arms and shoulders. Less fatigue. Someone asked me before in a previous video, a drummer had these little blue squares, okay? Now, for those who want to know what those are, drummers use them especially in the studio or in a smaller setting. A snare drum head is extremely tight. It's extremely a very dry sound, because it's pulled very, very tight in comparison to the toms, which are kind of malleable for the most part, because that's what gives them that resonance, that boom sound to them. I know, boom. But a snare head is usually very, very tight. And also, that means that snare drums are very, very sharp in the way they sound, sometimes very, very loud. Now, they make different snares. They can make snares that are just thin like this, and then they make snares that are very tall. And we've all seen, marching snares for marching bands are very tall, because that all gives up the amount of sound they put off. When you're in a studio like he is, or in a small setting like a small coffee house or an intimate concert where it's a limited amount of people, what winds up happening a lot of times is that the snare is louder than everything else. And it's louder than everything else to a point where you're like, ugh. So what happens is because he's recording, you see how closely his toms are. 1, 2, 3, right here next. What can happen is every single one of these, here's a mic here, here's a mic here, here's a mic here, here's a mic here. Those mics are designed to pick up the tom hits for the recording. However, because the snare is just below these toms, technically the line of sight on those mics can pick up that snare hit in the tom channels, which you don't want, because then it'll muddy up the sound. Now, his mic for his snare is pointed down, and the aperture on one of these studio mics, especially this type, is only like this. So it's only going to pick up what's directly in front of it for the most part. Everything that's behind it, like these toms, won't be picked up as much. So these are actually not tape. They're not blocks. They're actually like a goo. They're like a gel. They're like a little slime hands. It's essentially like that. It's like a sticky, tacky, slimy feel. And the idea behind it is it will dull that crack sound of a snare. Now, depending upon where you put it, how many you put, how far out to the edge, how far close to the middle you put them, will change the sound of your snare. Now, normally what will happen is where a drummer puts these is usually between him, his drum tech, and the person doing the recording. So your sound engineer in the booth will be listening to it. Your drum tech will know, if you have a drum tech, a lot of times, to be honest, it's just the drummer doing it himself. He or she will put it in there, and then they'll play, and it'll be like, that feels good, that sounds good. And then the sound engineer, he or she will be like, that sounds great. I'm not even picking it up on the toms. That's what that's for. So if you're wondering, is that tape? It's not tape. If you're wondering if it's some kind of putty, it's not putty. It's more of kind of a slimy consistency. And the reason why they use that is that slime absorbs shock. It absorbs resonance. So I've seen people put them on toms. I've seen people put them on snares. You'll never see anyone put it on a bass kick because you don't need that in a bass kick, because in most times bass kicks we use sound dampeners in them. If you've ever seen someone playing drums and there's a blanket or a pillow inside the drum set and you're like, why did they put that in there? That's because, have you ever seen a marching band? Have you ever seen the big large drums, the big bass drums, people, and they're like, boom, boom, boom. That's what it would sound like if you don't have something in there to dampen the sound, to stop the resonance. And I may show you guys one day on my djembe the difference between without resonance and with resonance. So when you hear a kick drum go tom, 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 that's because there's a dampener, whether it be foam. For years, people have used blankets. There's soundproofing materials that will stop the resonance to where you get a clear thump. The biggest problem that a lot of drummers have when you're doing studio work is actually the cymbals actually can cause the most trouble, because the cymbals have a very unique sound signature and it's a very unique frequency. So getting them not to be too loud, not necessarily in a studio, but in a small venue like a coffee house or a small little jazz venue, is harder to do. And that really relies upon the stick, the drummer, and how he or she is hitting them. A lot of times, to not overplay or overblow the sound in a small venue, a drummer, he or she will have to either change their stick setup, smaller, even maybe jazz sticks with those little, where they're actually shredded out. They're like little tiny sticks on the end of a big stick to where it just splashes. Sometimes they use the metal fans to reduce the amount of sound, because cymbals, you see how you don't see really a mic for each cymbal. You just see like this overhang mic here that hangs over the top of the cymbals to capture them. Because, yeah, if you've ever played drums, you're like, yeah, cymbal control is super hard to do, especially when you get like really, really excited and you just want to freaking, you just want to, you want to get away from, Neil Peart and kind of do more, Keith Moon. Yeah, I hear you. I totally hear you. Let's continue. I heard that cymbal. You heard it? Watch. So it's like hitting this ride, but it's without all the giant cymbal. Okay, so real quick, this is probably the best Zilbel thing I've heard yet. Okay, he'll actually hit the bell of his ride, but because you have all of this cymbal here, there is a little bit of a splashy resonance coming off of it. With the Zilbel itself, it's very clean and concise. Let's listen together. Back it up a little bit. See, yes, I'm supposed to be watching and reacting to this drum playthrough, but I'm such a geek about how these drummers come up with their signature sounds. And this is an amazing opportunity to get you guys to share what I've learned with all of you. So when you guys go, why do they do that? This is why. So let's check this out together. Oh, back a little further. It was in the first measurement. Okay. Here it is. Okay, clear. Super clear. Now he's going to come over here. Here, king, king. But there's all that resonance because there's so much weight from the rest of the ride. Wow. This is called playing the circuit. Everything is measured. He knows exactly where he is. Okay, and this is what Dan's known for, this pedal work and his precision. Okay, so now we know why he has a second ride to his left. Because he wants to do the rapid ride hits here instead of being on the hi-hat, and because of the speed he's playing, he does not want to have to do a quick switch up and open out his stance to extend his right arm, because you see what I'm saying? Like, he has to have this ride here, because to cross over and bring his right hand over here after he's already hit here to the snare, he'd have to bring this over and change his entire position. And because of the speed, and he wants to be precise in the count, he has a whole ride to there. Watch. Watch what he does. So he's playing his hi-hat. He's cross. He's switching from hi-hat. Otherwise, he'd have to switch his whole body over. It's all about precision and speed. It's perfect. Hey Dan, you gotta breathe, brother. Breathe. This guy's on his phone, shirt in his mouth, earphones to keep himself from having his ears blown out. Just, you got all this stuff going on. Epic metal drum playing. He's checking Facebook. And his pedal work is so precise and good. Oh my god. So he's using his other hi-hat over there. Sometimes it can be a bit much. Okay. You guys have seen my you guys have seen my Tool drum cover playthrough with not cover, but when Tool played, Danny Carey was doing his drum cam, and I commented that Danny Carey is the ultimate artist with drums because he never plays with a count. It's never a click track. He's just feeling his way through it. It's very artistic and it's precise, but yet it's very artistic. Dan is a machine, okay? It's kind of like Meshuggah's drummer. They're very much machines, and they're precise, and there's a method to the madness at all times. I'm not saying they can't be artistically expressive and kind of change things up when they want to, but the arrangement of this song is like, okay, Dan's got to be here and 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 here. Okay. Now, we've talked about Torrential Rain with Dario. Dario also plays with a lot of precision. Dario's very young. Dario has a 1 in front of his age. So he hadn't even hit 20 yet. And he's already getting to the level where you're like, wow, man. So as much as I love drummers on this channel, we seek out a lot of these different bands whose drummers give different styles, whether it be a Danny Carey or a John Bonham, who are the epitome of artistic expression and groove, and like Vlad from Ginger, or you're talking about Meshuggah, or Dan from Obliviscaris, Dario from Torrential Rain. These guys are trying to stay within the pocket of the song, and the songs that they're playing from the bands that they're playing with are so elaborately arranged to where they've got so many places they need to be. It's amazing and fun to watch. This is why I love drumming, because there's a little bit for everybody. Wow. You guys realize how many hits, how many notes he's playing for every count of the measure? 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's like, okay. It's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. But the count of the measure itself is still 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's the chording of the guitars. It's not the drums. Believe me, he's all over the place. It's awesome. It blows the mind. You can actually hear the count of the song in the motion of the song, but if you try to find the count of the song just based upon the drum playing, which normally you'd think you would, no. You need a calculator. Actually, as much as that was cool to see his feet, I would have loved to have seen his hands on that march. Oh, I like that. That walk. It's Tom March, man. It's great stuff. If they show an overhead, here it is. Okay. One thing that I just noticed. When you're watching a drummer play, you can normally see how long a drummer's been playing and how much muscle memory and precision and practice they put into their art, based upon the wear circle on their snare drum. Okay. Normally, when you're first learning how to play, your wear circle will be about, I don't know, 4 to 8 inches of the entire, like, I've seen people's wear circle where the hits accumulate go all the way as far out as this when they're first learning how to play. His wear circle is approximately like 2.5 inches around, and it's to the top end. It's not even in the middle. It's to the top. That's where his position of comfort is. That's where his muscle memory is. They'll come in and they'll actually show where the paint's starting to come off. The coating, the white coating on top of the snare is coming off, but it's in the smallest little area. Now, of course, his toms are a little bit more spread out. That's because he's moving. He's doing rolls and fills, and that requires your body to move. So your body may not move the same way every single time. But when he's in his play position, when he's in his shoulders are square, in his play position, his memory for his snare hit is minutely small. It's impressive. I think it's amazing. Wow. Okay. Before we end the video, and we're going to end it pretty quick here. Can anyone tell me, just based upon what we've seen, which part of his drum set is wasted? It's trash, as in he never uses it. It's just there for aesthetic. He might hit it once during the song and never really use it. It's just because it's just to be there. I'll give you a little bit of time. None of it. He has literally used every cymbal, every drum, every item on the arsenal multiple times, and not just as an accent. Normally you'd be like, oh, well, he just hit the Zell twice. No, he didn't. He hit it like 8 or 9 times. And he used this splash and this splash in his walkthrough after the 3rd or 4th bridge. So he spread it around precisely, used every element multiple times. The only waste that I see on the camera right here is that bottle of water. He's going to throw that away later. Other than that, everything was used to the utmost. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Dan Presland from Obliviscaris, Icicles Fall drum playthrough. And if you love drumming, he just gave you a masterclass. Straight up. Ginzu gives me the best shit. He really does.